some wood. My neighbor's gonna take it and cut it up for firewood, but I lost my camera, hit it in a tree, and finally found it, and no damage, luckily, because I was cutting with brush cutter. Yikes. So we're just gonna do a little bit more, and I'm heading to the house to change out. Okay, I was able to move the little blue tractor into the garage this morning in my workshop. So I'm gonna have to take this tire off. It held a little bit of air. I know it's got some gouges. I'm gonna have to take it off the bead and see if I can't patch the inside. Otherwise it's several $100, so we'll get that knocked out. And need to do some maintenance, probably change the oil on it. I need to change hydraulic filter and fluids. So we got a little bit of maintenance, doing some cleanup work here. This sycamore over here is where I lost the camera earlier. I had it on the ROPS on the tractor. One of them low-hanging limbs hit it when I was cutting, knocked it off, and it went under the brush cutter. I don't know how I didn't keep from getting the camera cut up. So I'm slowly working my way to the pasture, cutting these out. I won't cut this one down in front of us now. Let's knock another tree out right quick. Hey, good morning, it's Mark here. I'll probably seam this in with some pre-existing segments I've shot, but I'm down here in the lower pasture by the river and getting ready to do a little cleanup from where I've been cutting down trees on the fence and cutting lower limbs so I can bush hog down here a lot easier. So I'm gonna take you along while we look at what we've been doing and look at what we still need to do down here. So these are some of the trees, privet, that we've cut down along our fence line here. Once I get the bigger sections out, I can do a little more cleanup. I've cut a few oak limbs that were hanging too low. And I'm gonna bring most of this stuff down here. That brush pile is probably 50, 60 feet from the edge of the river. And we'll do what we enjoy out here in the country and have a brush or a bonfire. And I've cut down some limbs over here that were in the way of doing some cutting. Lower limbs, there's an oak and a sycamore over here. I've cut a few of the oak branches over here that would always slap me in the face, and some sycamore limbs that were too low to get under. There's a wild cherry down here that was hanging too low. I've cut it down. I do have another tree that went across the fence during a flood down here. I need to get it cut up. I've cut out the part that was on our trail a long time ago. We're gonna ride along the perimeter, just take a quick look. I said it's still a lot of work to do to clear up the fence lines. I've been doing a little work slowly over the last couple of years. You can see these were low-hanging limbs, preventing me from getting all the way under. A couple of limbs over here. It's a lot to do by hand, but I'm slowly trying to work my way through. Probably cut some of these low-hanging branches, allow me to get closer. I cut low-hanging branches around this oak here and a cedar. Cut some off over here. I do need to trim these back. Not much to it. I'll trim these back as well. We've done all these. We've done some cutting up and clearing up from trees that went down from an earlier storm. Need to trim this cedar back. Get closer to the fence line. This 6-foot gate here that goes into our old dove field, I need to clear those limbs out. Every time I cut it up every year, the next year I come out and it's overgrown. Some limbs down through here as well that are hanging fairly low that will slap you in the face with the tractor. So we'll get those. Need to take those down. These aren't too bad. I might trim the tips of those off. I've slowly been working on the fence line over here behind our rental property. I've cleared a lot of it out when our son and daughter-in-law and grandsons were living here so they could watch the deer in this backfield. And this is where a tree came down in a tornado, took out the fence line. All of this was completely overgrown with privet. We've got to clean it up. More low-hanging limbs from an oak. Take these out. Clear up this corner here. I'm gonna have to rebrace the fences. The old supports on the fence there have rotted out. I've already been working on this section of the fence. I need to take down the smaller trees next to it. I've cut the low-hanging branches, except for these. Open up along this stretch of fence. The river's just probably 40, 50 feet. We'll take this section out. All of this was overgrown. I took it out last year. You could not drive on this side, the lower side of the oak tree. It started growing back this spring. So I need to work on that. I want to limb up the cedar here and get the privet out from around it so I can drive around, take out that sweet gum growing next to the oaks. Cut these trees and the low-hanging limbs. All of this privet through here. A few more low-hanging limbs on that sweet gum. I may take that sweet gum down and make mushroom logs out of it. More privet. I've been working on it a little bit. On the other side, you can see the fence is down from a flood we had and the sand built up. And these hanging out away from the fence into the pasture, take these out. There's a wild cherry next to the oak tree. I limbed up that oak. I need to take those out. There's an old wild cherry tree straight back there that has privet around. I'll cut that privet. A lot of work. A whole lot of work. Right, Mrs. Farmer?
Yes.
So that's the game plan. I'll take these out too. But before I cut any more today, I think I'm going to get on the tractor, get up everything I've already cut out here so I don't feel so inundated with the cleanup portion. And I'm going to take all of that back down here and put it on the bonfire pile by the river. So that's the game plan. I'll grab the tractor and I'll put this camera on the magnetic base on top of the ROPS, or rollover protection system. And hopefully I've got enough limbs cut now that I won't knock it off and run over it again. Surprisingly, when I ran over it the other day, while I was cutting, it got knocked off by some sycamore limbs. And I was fortunate to go back and find it intact. All right, pick back up here in a second. Okay, here we go. Okay, we'll work on this section just in front of us here. I don't think I got clear of the gnats. Damn it. We're gonna knock some off this sycamore tree here. Gnats are horrible today. Knocking out this oak tree now. Thinking I'm gonna have to stop for a bit. It's cooler today than it's been in a while. There's a nice breeze, but these gnats, man, they're terrible. Getting all in my eyes and in my face. So I'll probably knock off for just a bit, come back out and start back when maybe the gnats slow down. I'll probably recharge my battery too while I'm in there. Get about an hour off of a battery between the battery and the gnats. I'll take a break, let this battery charge up, and hit it again. Okay, back at it. Both batteries recharged, the Ryobi and mine. we're just gonna take a quick look. Most of the low-hanging limbs are cut off. I've got to go to the other side, but before I do that, I'm gonna bring the tractor over, get up some of the limbs so I'll have more room to work. Starting to look good, at least better. I want to clear this out though so we can see the lower pasture from this tree line between the two pastures. Okay, we're back at it this morning. I got a lot pulled out yesterday. Open this up. Before, you couldn't see through here. I've cut a lot of limbs out. I didn't video, but I brought the tractor down and pulled a lot out so I'd be able to get back into it. So we're about to hit it again. You can see where these limbs stuck out. That's about 12 to 15 feet. I couldn't cut in, so I'd have to cut around. Now I'll be able to get right up next to the fence when I finish these. And I've got the same thing to do down through here. But my first goal on this section of fence is thin this out enough so if you're up on the hill when we're having concerts, you'll actually be able to see all the way down here to the lower pasture, which is just above the river. So we're going to get started on that today, see how much progress we can make. I'm doing about an hour at a time on the one battery. I could have more batteries, but honestly, with the recovery from the ablation, about an hour of running is about all I need anyway, and that allows me to take that battery up, recharge it, and recharge my own battery. I'm probably going to break out the regular chainsaw a little bit and do a little bit of cutting now that I can reach in there. So we'll get started on that and pick back up here in a sec. Two bar, probably about 5-10 minutes. Okay, let's see what we can get done on this side. Well, that's it. Time to change battery again. guys are all right. Woo. Yeah, here we go. Wow. Oh, jeez. Wow. Okay.